Here we are, so the spindle, the faceplate mounts on the spindle very simply, just simply slides on, and then there's 3 grub screws just on here that we can do up equally. And then it's fixed onto the main spindle. So the faceplate, it was just part of the old motor that I scavenged the main spindle from, so it was really convenient. So all I had to do was drill holes, tap the threads and put grub screws in. The first step then is just to sharpen up the tool and ready for turning. Just going to do this on an upturned belt sander. It's got a high grit belt on it, so it gets a nice fine finish. So here we are. I'm going to be a tad brutal now to get the shape of this bowl on the outside in a nice curve. So I'm just going to sort of rough that out, fairly like rough cuts, just to get the shape right, and then we'll do some nice finer cuts towards the end then. So start slowly. Okay, so it's looking kind of alright. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust the tool rest very slightly now. It's just using this quick release clamp. Turn it to a better angle like that. Now I'll just move it a bit closer. I have to move the whole thing for that. Loosening this slightly. Sliding it in, sliding it in, make sure it can turn, tighten it up. It's pretty much in the shape that I want, I think now, perhaps just a little bit more curve to it. So the guy who gave this is laburnum wood. It's very seasoned. The guy who gave it to me, he came and picked something up off recycle, some scrap metal that I had, and we got talking, and he gave me some advice about making this lathe because he'd done quite a bit of lathing himself, and he told me he'd given up because at one point he was turning a piece of wood and the lathe caught, and it caused the chisel to fly off and embed in the wall, and at that point he decided it was too dangerous. So touch wood, I haven't had any of that kind of thing happen so far. I've had bits of wood fly off and hit me though, and why this is definitely, I advise anyone to always wear one of these. I'm pretty much happy with the curve of the bowl now, so I'll just flatten this off and then turn it round, and then it would be good to hollow out the inside then. For flattening the bottom is just to use an old plain blade with the edge ground mostly flat, and just use it as a scraper. It's a nice big flat scraper then that can flatten it off. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I think that's done it. It's fairly flat along there now, so time to turn this laburnum bowl over and start hollowing out the inside. Okay, so when I turn the laburnum bowl over, that's the side, or has been like that, so we've got a little hole that I drilled there already, so it's partially kind of hollowed out a little bit. But when you turn it over, it doesn't really fit in there, and I don't really want to drive those screws down onto there, and there's a little pokey out bit as well. So I want a nice flat bottom to this, what will be a bowl. So what I need is a faceplate. Now normally what I do is I glue on a little piece of ply that goes around there, but because today I'm feeling impatient and crazy, I'm going to get a piece of ply and put a load of little screws in and secure that, and then screw this onto the piece of ply, and I'm going to hope that that'll do me. So that's what I'm going to do. Here's my piece of ply, lots of little screws on the back, as you can see. I just centre it up. I can sort of see where the centre is because there's a little nib on the bottom of the bowl, and there's a hole, so I can centre that up. So I'm just going to screw this down, and then I'm going to put the faceplate onto there. So I don't have any time for screwdrivers anymore. Okay, so there it is. It's on the ply, new ply faceplate. Would be nice if that was a bit smaller, but okay, so there it is, mounted up. So yeah, an expensive like chuck, four-jaw chuck or something would be good, but this faceplate method, it works quite well. Now I can see that in mounting this onto the new faceplate, it's shifted very slightly off centre, so now it sort of wobbles round a little bit. So what's a good idea now is if I just true off the outside edge again, so I'll have to adjust this once more, true off the outside edge, and then it'll be square, and then it'll just rotate a bit nicer on the lathe, and I'll be able to go up to the higher speeds as well. I thought I'd just show you, this is how you know it's off centre, as well as you can just see, but you get that sort of noise that you get when you're roughing out first if it's off centre. Like that.